Welcome again to the COVID Law series. I'm super excited to be having this conversation with you today. My name is Jake Okechukwu Efodu, and on this show, I discuss issues that concern you, COVID-19, and the law.
This is the COVID Law series. This is the COVID Law series.
When it comes to your COVID-19 status, do you disclose or not disclose? Tell me.
Yes, I will, because COVID-19 is not something that needs to be victimized. You don't need to be victimized if you have one. It's not as if you go out intentionally to want to have COVID-19 or you get it out of your carelessness.
Yes, if I have the COVID-19, I will discuss it with somebody because I don't want another person to be a victim of it.
If I had COVID today, I would disclose my status. The whole idea is to ensure that other people don't get infected with whatever I'm going through, and then it helps to bring them to the knowledge of how dangerous it is and to keep them safe.
Yeah, I will. I will definitely disclose my status so as to protect those around me. And as a health personnel, it's really good you disclose it so you don't endanger those around you. It's as easy as that.
Yes, I will, because there are so many people who work with me, who are always with me every time, and I wouldn't want their health to be in danger. So I have to tell them that, okay, for now you have to give me space and so on, just to avoid spreading the virus.
So I feel people around me should know and keep a safe distance, and the people exposed to me should also go check themselves.
Yes, I will. I have to. But I don't think I'll disclose to the public. I'll disclose my status to probably the closest people I've been, people that have been around my vicinity, so they get themselves tested.
Very interesting views. Now, when it comes to disclosure, disclosure is the release or the transfer or the provision of access to information outside the person who owns that information or the entity where the information is supposed to be. When we talk about COVID-19 status disclosure, two things are important. One is whether you as an individual should disclose your COVID-19 status, and the second is whether another individual can disclose your COVID-19 status. To discuss the legal implications of this, I'm going to speak with a legal practitioner, Barrister Blessing Ogbu. Now grab a seat and let's talk. This is still the COVID Law series, and we're discussing COVID-19 status disclosure. I'm joined right here with Barrister Blessing. Welcome to the COVID Law series.
Thank you very much, Jake.
So yes, please tell us, should a person's COVID-19 status be made public, or is it a private information?
Okay, health-related issues, right, are really sensitive personal data, and it's at the exclusive right of the patient. Even the Hippocratic Oath actually supports confidentiality, doctor-patient confidentiality. Now, it's also provided for in the Constitution, your right to privacy. So you understand, there's this restriction. Do I feel comfortable divulging this information to the public, right? But then there are exceptions to this. There are times when, okay, your fundamental rights are restricted. Right to privacy is a fundamental human right enshrined in the Constitution, Section 37. However, there are exceptions to this. There are times when, your rights are restricted to protect the general public defense. But now the pertinent question will be, to what extent? So it has to be on a need-to-know basis, right? Is it important for me to actually say this, or is it just to satisfy public curiosity? But if it's not to actually protect the general public, right? You can't just divulge specific information, the age, the address of this person, but you can give generics. Okay, age, in this state, gender, just so that you can do to curtail the virus, right? Contact tracing, know where this person was last, and to inform others.
So should a person share or not share? Should they personally disclose or not disclose, and to whom? Like if I discover that I've contracted COVID-19, are there people I should be disclosing to? Are there people I should not be disclosing to?
Okay, yes. Okay, say for instance, health workers, frontliners. Now, if you test positive for COVID, you should disclose to the hospital management, because now you are in charge of protecting the general public. Patients are coming in and you're treating them. So if you decide to keep quiet, you're spreading the virus, right? You're an employee and you started having symptoms, you went for tests and you are positive, you should let your employer know, right? So that at least if you work closely with some other employees, they should know. So to check themselves, self-isolate if it's important, if it's necessary, but then it's done on a confidential basis. So you're not supposed to, paste your name, the office, okay, bless both tested positive for COVID, but it's done confidentiality in good faith, right? Just because you're taking responsibility for the next person. So you should disclose to the appropriate authorities and then, make sure you have the necessary treatments, at least to curtail the virus. Treat yourself, then you can come back. Yeah.
I remember one time reading that if people come back to Nigeria and they did not self-isolate or they did not finish their self-isolation requirement, that they might publish their names in the newspaper so everybody can know that these people have contracted COVID. Is this a legal ground to breach a person's private, COVID-19 status information?
Yes, it is. Because at that instant, the person is a threat to the general public. Now, the Coronavirus Disease Protection Regulation 2021, which the president actually promulgated, states that if you are in quarantine, right, or self-isolation, and you decide to run away, at that point, they can publish your name, information about you, so that everybody know that, if you come in contact with this person, she's a threat. Go, check yourself. At that point, you're right. In fact, you've lost the right because you violated someone else's rights.
So with the way that people discriminate individuals in Nigeria, we've had experiences from like rape victims, people who are living with HIV, for example. Some of these stories have made people sort of remain private with any information about themselves. Is there a legitimate ground for someone to say, well, I don't want to be discriminated, I don't want to be ostracized, so I don't want to say anything about my COVID status? Is this a thing?
And yes, like I said, okay, you have that exclusive right. It's your privacy. You view how you want people to perceive you, right? So if you think, if I disclose, they're going to look at me a certain way, you have that right to not disclose. But there are exceptions. There are times when it's not just your say anymore. There are other persons involved. You have to be responsible. You owe your neighbor a duty of care. So even if you think, yes, there's the stigma, there's the this, there's the that, but it's something you have to do. You have to be brave enough for it. Well, I can't say that it will take away the discrimination that comes with it, the stigma, but then to an extent, your right and your privacy is still protected while protecting the general public. So the good thing to do is to actually take responsibility, disclose to the appropriate authorities. So you don't have to tell everybody, but it's on a need-to-know basis. Who needs to know that I have this? Then you share with them.
But if a person does not disclose and somebody else discloses their COVID-19 information, can they sue that person that breached their confidentiality?
Okay. Now, there are exceptions. There are persons that can disclose, and there are reasons, where these persons disclose. So let's say, for instance, it's just your malicious neighbor that know that, you tested positive. Person went to their Facebook page. There's this man. People can trend these days with various things. And yes, so Susan went to the hospital and she tested positive. I just want everybody to be, well, Susan, no, she has COVID. At that point, you can seek legal redress, right? Because your right to privacy was breached. And it doesn't fall under the exception. So why is this? Who is your neighbor the appropriate authority? No. Is she NCDC? Is she your doctor? For what reason? She doesn't have that right to do that.
Like malicious.
Yes, that's malicious. So for that, you could seek legal redress.
Thank you very much, Barrister Blessing, for being right here on the COVID Law Series. It's been a pleasure discussing with you. Thanks for answering my questions.
You're welcome. It's an honor to be here.
So I'm going to give you the appreciation bump.
Nice.
Thank you.
Disclosure of status is a personal decision, but it also has public health effect. If you disclose your status, one thing is you are able to convince the society that you have gone through this. This is real. And people can also learn from you. How did you overcome it? What kind of care did you get? You have gone through this, you are a survivor. And the public health impact of this is it will let us understand how to prevent this. Because when we know people who have COVID-19, because it spreads from person to person and as the person moves from place to place. So as it spreads, as you know your status, then people will avoid contact with you, close contact, which is what you want, but not in a way to stigmatize you, right? Which is usually the fear people have. That's why they don't want to disclose their status. So disclose your status. It gives people that understanding of why you need to self-isolate. Your boss will know why you may not need to come to work for that period of time. They need to understand why you need support, right? So, and the public health system will also be able to find it very easy in order to interact with people, convince people, and then because people need evidence to know that this thing is real. So it is only those who have it when they start speaking that people can actually believe and hear them that, okay, yes, okay, this is real. And there was a time Nigerians were asking, do you know somebody that knows somebody that knows somebody? So if people begin to declare their status, especially people that are close to you that you trust, they are more likely to believe that, okay, this is real, and the better for us. But we need to also, as a society, be mindful of the way we respond to people who declare their status so that we don't discourage them from declaring their status. Because if they hide that, it means a lot of people who have infection, they will not let people know because they want to continue their businesses. They don't want people to stigmatize them. Then they continue to interact with innocent population, people that don't know. And that way it can continue to spread. And that can result into development of another variant, and which is my greatest fear.
That is the Kabusa Oriental Choir with the Corona song, and this is still the COVID Law series. I want to thank you so much for being a part of this conversation, and I want you to engage. Use the hashtag COVID Law series. Like, follow, forward, subscribe, and participate. You can send your questions, your contributions, your comments, and your suggestions to the show, and I'll be very happy to engage with you. Till the next episode, stay safe.